All right, Governor, welcome. Would you talk a little bit about why you are a Republican?
Well, I'm a Republican because I believe in limited, effective government, and I know Senator McCain does as well. Government has an important role to play, but it needs to be contained, and it needs to be reasonable, and it needs to be effective. And there's those of us who say fiscal discipline, fiscal responsibility needs to be brought to government. Senator McCain has been unwavering on that commitment, and that's part of the reason I'm a Republican, and that's a big part of the reason why I support him for president.
You talk a lot about the changes that the GOP has to make to stay relevant. What changes are you talking about specifically?
Well, I think most people on the issues of our day appreciate the traditional Republican position, strong on national security, strong on international affairs, fiscal discipline, common sense on social issues. But there's a sense that there's emerging issues that we haven't responded to or been leading on. For example, healthcare is breaking the back of individuals and families and unions and employers. And Republicans have been, I think, slow to articulate what they're going to do for an average person to contain healthcare costs. And people don't want the government to take over the system, but they do want to know, what are you going to do about it to help me or my family? So that's an emerging issue, or an issue that's been kind of rising on people's agendas that I think the Republican Party's been slow to address. Another would be energy policy. Obviously, we've got an outdated energy policy in the country. We need to move to something better and brighter for the future. Senator McCain's been very forward-looking on that kind of issue. And so those are the types of things that, people who are perhaps not automatically Republicans or emerging politically want to know. Do you have a vision? Do you have a program for it? And Republicans need to do a better job on that front.
You talk a lot about trying to bring the demographic 18 to 29-year-olds into the Republican Party. What are some of your ideas for how to do that? How do you connect with young people? How does the GOP connect with younger voters?
Well, first of all, ideas matter, and if you look at the things that they're concerned about, energy issues, healthcare issues, educational issues, being strong and clear on those issues is important. But how you communicate with younger people is also important. They grew up in an era where there's text messaging and email and MySpace and YouTube and all of the ways that they interact in terms of socialization, communication, data transfer is different than the older generation. So using the new media, using the internet, using technology, and having that reflect a tempo and a feel that the younger generation is accustomed to and likes is important as well. What
would you say is the number one issue, or one of the main issues of concern for someone between the ages of 18 and 29 in the country today?
Well, I think if you ask younger people what they're concerned about, I think they're concerned about the economy. I think they're concerned about education. They're concerned about the environment. They're concerned about making sure that, America is forward-looking. But it gets translated into issues like, what are you doing for education? What are you doing for energy? What are you doing for the environment? Those aren't the only issues, but those are three that come up a lot.
Okay. You're John McCain's national co-chair, one of them for his presidential campaign. Would you talk a little bit about the first time you met John McCain and why you obviously were so impressed with him?
I think the first time I met him was in 1988, so nearly 20 years ago, when he came on a trip to Minnesota on some veterans issues, and I had a chance to spend a couple days driving him around Minnesota to those events. And he is singularly one of the most courageous, strong, virtuous leaders our country's had in the modern history of the country. And it's not just my rhetoric saying that. His life record reflects that. He hasn't just talked the talk and flapped his gums like a lot of politicians do. He's lived it. And his life story is compelling as a prisoner of war, as a national war hero, as a steadfast leader in the United States Congress. This is an individual of unbelievable character. And as Newsweek said, John McCain's character has been tested in ways that other politicians can only imagine. I think that sums it up pretty well.
And finally, I ask all of the people I interview, would you please say, in the spirit of bipartisanship, would you please say something nice about one of the candidates that's running against John McCain?
Sure. Well, you look at somebody like Mitt Romney, for example. He's been a successful business person. He's smart. He's been very successful in activities in his life, and so energetic. So those are some very positive traits for Mitt Romney. But we have a lot of good candidates in the race for the Republican nomination. And I don't talk badly about any of them. I just want to make sure people hear the positive message about Senator McCain.
It should be a very exciting race. Thank you, Governor, very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.